Welcome to another episode of Probably Fix It on this Mower Monday. I just picked these up on the way home from work out of my storage unit. I got a couple of notes on them. This one here is a self-propelled Craftsman mower that has a bad mower, and it has a 190cc Briggs Stratton engine on it, which I don't know why that's bad, but I really like these motors. And this one here is a pretty basic Craftsman mower, and it has the same 190cc motor on it with and this is a 22-inch cut. So this was probably just thrown on here too as well. Anyhow, I picked this mower, this engine up for, looks like $35, and I got this one for free. So we're going to see if we can make a mower that we can sell and maybe make a couple of bucks on by doing a little motor swap. This one here has the carburetor with the primer on it. And I don't know if you can see this one from there, but this one here has the auto choke on it. So we'll figure out which one we want to use. We'll probably rebuild both carburetors and see which one we can get working and set it up in that particular configuration. So I'm gonna go ahead and unload these mowers and go from there. All right, I got both these rolled up to the house, and like I said, this one here is the better deck mower, has more amenities, and this one has no amenities. So what I'm going to do is see if I can get this one to pop off. This one here, if I remember correctly, there's a big old puddle of oil on my concrete in my storage unit, so it has a pretty good leak, and I looked up underneath there and it's all coated with oil. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and not even really mess with this motor too much. I'm going to go ahead and take it off, throw it to the side. I'm going to save some of the plastics on it because the plastics on this one look a lot better than that one. And I'm going to see if I can get this one to fire up, and if I can get this one to fire up, I'm gonna go ahead and pressure wash the motor and stuff, so we're working with something kind of clean, and go from there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and open this up and see what we're working with. But my flathead screwdriver is a little handier than my 8mm, so I grabbed it. The filter actually doesn't look too bad at all. Go ahead and pop that off real quick. We're gonna go ahead and do our checks here, check for oil before I try to fire this thing on. It's got clean oil in it too, huh? And it has no fuel in it. Let's just see what happens. The fuel valve was left open, so maybe, I don't know, we'll see if it just pops off. Well, this may just end up being a quick motor cleanup, change the plastics out, throw it on that other mower and be done, but we don't know. We're not there yet. Primer bulb seems to work pretty good. Let me put a little gas in here and see how long she'll run. All right, let's give her a pull and see if she'll run for a little bit longer. Or at all. Well, let me give her a couple pumps. I may. All right, she don't want to run. Spray this one more time. Yeah, I suspect that carburetor needs to be cleaned. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this thing up and get it running well on this mower frame. Then once I have it running well, I'll disassemble it and transfer it over to the better quality mower. I'm just gonna hit this thing with some cleaner and a pressure washer and get it cleaned up. I'll see you after it's all tidied up. Okay, so we got that going on for us. Go ahead and take that off. We're gonna get this carburetor out, and we're gonna go straight to rebuilding this carburetor. All right, we have 3 8mm fasteners here we're gonna take off. Let's just get our air box off. I'm going to pull this off here. And that's all going to come off as one. So you got, this is your crankcase hose back there. Do you see that? Let's see if I can get some light in there for you guys. It's right there. I pulled it out of, it's not great, but I'll have to get that in there. That's a little hose and stuff. We'll go ahead and put this stuff to the side. That's brittle, brittle, brittle. So we're gonna go ahead and take the hose off. I switched to these bent nose pliers just because I had to get near at a weird angle and I couldn't get to it with the other ones. But get that hose off. Typically though, I do like to use something that has a little, the jaws can get on both of these tangs a little easier. But since I was coming in from the side, I can get them. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Anyway. All right, now we'll get these fasteners off right here for the carburetor. Or we're gonna get this fuel line off. That fuel line is very, very, very hard. I like these special pliers for getting hoses off. They're pretty nice. Let me go get a water bottle to drain this fuel in and we'll take a look at it. Off to the kids' room. If you have a teenage kid, you can count on finding water bottles or whatever, especially with a teenage athlete. Go ahead and drain that out. Y'all don't need to watch all this. All right, so we got a bolt here. It's a 3/8 bolt right there. Go ahead and remove that. And you got another one that's going to be down here. Right there. And that's what holds your carburetor on. Now pay attention to how your springs are on there. Actually, I don't need to worry about the springs. I'm not going to take the springs off. I'm just going to twist the carburetor and take it off that right there. And remember, there's a little O-ring right here on that intake. I had a guy on the last video said he thought the O-ring went up against the intake manifold, but how in this particular case it does for the metal one. But we were on that video. I was doing the plastic carburetors, and the plastic carburetors, they have an O-ring goes in first here, and then you got a little white cap that goes on top. But if you have a plastic carburetor, just go watch one of my previous videos and you can see that. We're going to tear into this metal one, and you'll see kind of probably why it's a lot easier. Those plastic ones tend to be a lot easier to get back up and running. But we'll go move to the workbench right now and get this torn apart and see how it looks inside. You got me a little bin here, so when I take this, you can see how much fuel is going to be in there. There's actually water in there already. But anyway, we're going to take this off here. This holds your float on. Your float bowl, I mean. See what we're going to be getting into here. That right there is pretty darn nasty. All right. So that, oh, there you go. Look inside there. Yuck. We got a little bit of rust and stuff in there, and then the float is kind of ugly. So to get this float out, we're going to pull this pin. Let's see how that, I'm going to regret doing this. I do it all the time though. I'm going to see this, like, fuel goes in here, right? So I'm just going to see if that needle and seat's even working. So we blow in here. Shockingly, it kind of worked. Ugh. Nasty. Let me get a little pair of pliers. Most of the time, a lot of times you can just take these pins will come right out. You don't have to really use any tools, but this one here, is, you can see it's pretty corroded. I mean, this may or may not be a salvageable carburetor. We shall see. And if not, I'll just order one. If you end up ordering these, I like to order, there's your float with your needle in there. If you do order these, I like to order them. I like to get the HIPA or HIPA brand. They seem to be pretty good. Here's your little seal for your float. Just look, there's just all kinds of just carcinogenic stuff, jelly there. And on these right here, this thing only pulls double duty, so it acts as your main jet and holds your float bowl onto the bottom of the carburetor. We just give this thing a quick little spritz. I don't know if you can see in there, but there's like a little orifice in there too. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take this carburetor. That's all there is to these carburetors. There's really not much to them. But we're gonna take this and throw it into my ultrasonic cleaner and let this thing cook for a little while. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna go change out the fuel line. I was corrected in one of my videos. I call it fuel hose, and I'll probably go back to calling it fuel hose. Tell me what you guys think. Do you call it fuel hose, fuel line? Either way, people should get the point. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this dropped into the ultrasonic cleaner and get this cooking. I'm gonna go ahead and take this little wire wheel here and clean inside this bowl. Just get some of that rust out. I've never done this before, but figure it couldn't hurt. Yeah, there you go. That's much cleaner. All right, let's get this in the ultrasonic cleaner. This is the ultrasonic cleaner I have. It's a Vevor. I'm not sponsored by them or get anything, but I like it. I got a bigger one because I do car stuff too. So kind of wish I'd have taken this basket out before I heated up the tank because it's hot. That's at 80 degrees Celsius. So I bought these little baskets. They're for doing jewelry and stuff, but I put my small parts in them, my little jet. And also, you don't need one of these ultrasonic cleaners, but some carburetor cleaner and these little welding tip cleaners are great for cleaning this stuff out too. You can get in there, and clean your jets out. But we're gonna let the ultrasonic cleaner do the work for us. Put that in there. Throw a little rod in there, which that's not really necessary. Going to pull the needle out, throw it in there. Just wiping this float down a little bit. Because the float by nature just floats in there, so it doesn't get super clean. But I'll put dirty side down. Put my carburetor in the basket. And the fluid I'm running in this one is just basically hot water and pino pine I got from the Dollar General, some generic pine sol, I believe. So that's it. I just put it in there like that, drop the basket in here. Then I hit full wave. I mean, I got full wave, I got semi-wave, and I figure if you got full, go full, right? I don't know. You tell me what the best mode is. Maybe someone from Vevor will reach out to me and tell me how I'm actually supposed to use this thing. So we hit full wave, and it's got a kind of nasty sound that I usually leave the garage, but it's kind of the sound it makes, and it'll do that. It'll run for 30 minutes, and we'll take a look at it. It's about that time. We're gonna go ahead and take the carburetor out of this ultrasonic cleaner. I just stuck it in here and ran it through, and went to bed last night, so let's see how she is. I'm gonna go give her a quick rinse. I like to rinse it off with water after I'm done running it through there. I'll be back. All right, we're back. We go ahead and start tearing into this thing, putting it all back together. Remember, all our little small parts are in this little basket here. We got our needle. And I don't know, do you remember how dirty that thing was? It's nice and clean now. So that's good, that's what we want. So you're gonna go ahead and put this thing back together, and it's pretty easy. Look how many parts we have. We don't have that many parts. You got your main body. You got this holds your float bowl, and it's your main jets. You get inside there, you got like some stuff that gets cleaned out in your float bowl, which is nice and clean now. Your float, your needle, and the pin that holds the float. And then we have that gasket right there. It goes right there. So let's start putting this together. First thing we're going to do is put our float back together. Slide your needle and seat back into your float body. Stick that on there. Slide your pin through. So you get your pin in there. Now this float should move up and down pretty easily. We're going to check, make sure our needle and seat. We got good airflow. Airflow shuts off. Let's see if it outdoes this way. No airflow. All right, that's good. Now we're going to put our little seal back on here, our little gasket. Hopefully it still seals. I always get nervous about that. Kind of looks like this gasket shrunk up on me a little bit. Oh, no, I got it. Nope, I didn't. Let me coat this with a little something. Make my life a little easier. There we go, I got it back on. It's kind of the downside of reusing the gaskets. You run a risk. And I may put this back together and it may leak, but that's the risk you take. If it does leak, I have a spare carb right here I can clean up and try it again. That's all there's to it, rebuilding it. That's all the steps. Now we just go put it back on the mower. See if we can get that thing started up so we have a nice running mower. All right, we're gonna replace this fuel line. I was corrected in my video before. I called it fuel hose, and I'll probably revert back to calling it fuel hose, but we're gonna replace that. There we go, fuel line removed. I got my new fuel line installed. Find out where I put that carburetor now. Oh, there it is. We got our O-ring on there still, so that's good. We're gonna reattach our linkage to our carburetor. Just goes in like that, then you just spin it, and then we'll get those bolts in there. These are gonna be 3/8 and hand starting them. Get that one started. Gonna get this one started. Put our fuel line back on, slide our clamp down. Put our shutoff valve back in there. Put in a new spark plug. Take that old one out. I've already had it loosened out. Take this as a NGK plug. It was already in here, but it's brand new. Look at that sucker. Put a little anti-seize on there. Help the next guy out. Torque this to spec. Totally optional, a little dielectric grease. Once again, help the next guy out. It's installed. What I think we'll do now is we'll put a little fuel in it and give her a test fire. And then if so, we'll put the rest of the air cleaner and all that stuff back in it. Now this one here also has the primer button on it, so I may have to give it a little squirt, but we'll see if she keeps running after that. I get comments all the time, I shouldn't be working barefoot or in flip-flops, but you know, toes grow back. All right, let's see if we can get this thing to fire up real quick. It's got a little bit of fuel in there, not much. I just put a little bit of fuel in there. I didn't put much in there. This carburetor is set up where it has one of these primer bulbs where you give it a couple pops of gas in there before you start it. Since that's not on, I'm just gonna cheat a little bit here. Just give me a little shot down that gullet here. Now it may smoke a little bit because it's 2-stroke, but we'll see if it runs for a minute or two. I ain't gonna make y'all listen to it for that long, but kind of expected it to run a little longer, to be honest with you. I got the fuel on. That's not making me happy. That's making me think that carburetor is not the best. So I'm gonna go ahead and, this is the that spare one I had. I decided I was gonna take it apart real quick and just see if I can get it. This one, oh no. See if I can get a working carburetor out of 2 carburetors. Good Lord, that's tight. That is crazy. I've never had one of these get that, be that stuck in there. Got it. All right, so we had no joy with, let me get back here. Scoot y'all back a little bit. All right, so I had no joy with the those 2 carburetors, the one that was already on there. Sometimes that corrosion gets up in there and it just eats away too much of the base material and you can't get them cleaned out, or they don't function like they should. Anyway, even after you clean them out, there's like pits and stuff that just where the material's going. So I went ahead and ordered me another one. I just got an Amazon one. I usually like to get the Hyper brand, but this is not that brand because I wanted to get it a little bit sooner. I wanted to get it the next day so I could do this this evening, so I can have it ready for a lady that kind of is looking for a mower for this coming weekend. And hopefully I can get this, you know, motor swap going. But before I swap a motor, I got to get one of them running. So this little kit is like I think $16.98. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Comes with a air filter, some gaskets, brand new carburetor, real simple carburetor. Comes with the fuel filter, new primer bulb, spark plug, and a new base. Little crankcase tube that goes from here to a little tube on the crankcase, but it'll attach on there. And it looks like it comes with a new screw as well. So that's a good little kit for 16 bucks. I may just reuse the old cover just because I have it. But sometimes what happens is, in one of my other videos, I kind of went into some detail, but when these things here, if these things, sometimes if your lawnmower still won't start when you're trying to prime it, sometimes that's because of this gasket surface here. These plastics will get warped sometimes, they get over tightened, and you don't get a good seal here. So what you can do, a little hack you can do, is you can put another, if you have one, another gasket on here if yours is warped and you don't have a spare one. But I'll keep this in my stock, so if that one happens to be warped, or I come across one that's warped, I have a replacement all ready to go with a fresh bulb. I will go ahead and put this nice fresh bulb on that other unit. So let's go ahead and get this carburetor installed. Not much to it here. You got those 2 bolts holding this in, and another one right over here. Disconnect that fuel line. Should have disconnected that fuel line before I disconnected that carburetor, but what's done is done. There you go, carburetor's off. Install this carburetor. Just gonna stick that right in there and spin it. And now it's ready to get bolted back on. And I'm gonna be kind of doing one thing kind of out of order. I'm gonna change this fuel tank out. The one on the other mower looks a little better. So since I'm taking a little Frankenstein one here, doing this engine swap, I'll go ahead and use the best parts of both mowers. My hands are too big to get in there and do that, so I gotta do it. I'm still doing it by hand, but just using the tool. My fingers are too big. Just a little ooga dooga, not too many ooga doogas. You don't want to go crazy. All right. And one thing I noticed, see how long that fuel line is? I'm gonna go ahead and shorten that up a bit. I'm gonna cut a little bit of that off, probably about that much. I usually have some scissors that cut through here that are pretty good. I got them from Harbor Freight. I think they're Irwin maybe scissors, I think. But I can't find them right now, so using my side cutters. I guess you can't uncut it. Well, I'm just gonna leave that for right now. I'll put a new line on it when I do that gas tank transfer, but I just want to fire this thing up real quick. See if she's gonna run for me. But now I gotta put a little bit longer line. I got, you know what they say, measure once, cut twice. No, that's not it. All right, let's see if this thing will fire off. And remember, I haven't put this piece on yet, so I don't have the primer bulb, so I'm gonna give it a little head start with a little bit of cleaner in there. But let me get this off my little table. I'm gonna give it a little prime. Not much, just a little bit. Now let's see if she starts up for me. Okay, she runs, but she's hunting and surging a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and change that O-ring out on the back of that. So I just went ahead and pulled that back off. This is the O-ring I'm talking about right there. That one I just popped off there. You know, it didn't look that bad. All right, so we got that back on there. Let's put it in here. You can see how much that helped. Give her a pull. That actually sounded a little better. It still had a little hunting and surging, but I didn't have an air cleaner or air filter on it, so it could have been running a little bit lean. So once we get it all back together, we'll give it a test. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this fuel tank off of this one and the other one and do a quick switch. So I'm gonna take this fuel line back off, and I'm gonna put a filter in line there, and that'll add back my extra. She held on, that fuel tank's held on by some 5/16 fasteners. It's just 3 fasteners holding that in. Take my fuel line back off again that I've been putting on here, but there's another bolt down here. There's one right there. You see that? So I'm gonna go ahead and get that out. One thing you're gonna have to do is take your line from here, take that out. We're gonna replace this too. I think I'm gonna use the one from the other one as well. It looks nicer. And then your tank comes off. And I left this on there for right now because I got fuel in this tank. Not much, a little bit. And I wanna capture that. So what do you guys think? This is the one I just took off that mower right there. These front 2 pieces are the ones I just took off that mower. I mean, they got the nice decals and stuff like that on them, so it kind of gives it a good look. This is the cover that I'm going to use. That's the other cover. And this is the other gas tank. So I think we'll be good to go. All right, fixed my short hose problem by just adding that filter. I wish it was that easy in real life. All right, let's start getting this back together. We're going to go ahead and pre-assemble our fuel line onto our fuel tank. All right, let's put my new tank on there. Pull that hose through there. I'm gonna go ahead and install this real quick, see how it fits. It looks like it's gonna work out all right. Just gonna reinstall that fuel tank the way you saw it come off. But one thing I actually just did it, is so I don't have to keep hunting for which one I need. I put a little piece of tape on that one and a little different color tape on that one. So that way I just know I use the blue one and the black one all the time, and that way I don't have to, they look so similar. Just gonna start these by hand. All right, we got that done. Nope, we're missing one bolt. The big one that goes on the side. Remember that one? Can't forget that one. Uses the blue one. Tip that over. There's a little spacer that goes on that fuel tank too that I totally forgot about. Actually, this one didn't have it, the other one did, and I remembered it. So I stole it off the other one. Now we're gonna reinstall this cover. Remember, you gotta pull that through there beforehand. And this is held on with 2 looks like some, I don't know, just some regular old screws, Phillips head screws. Got that started by hand. So I can get this one started over here. Yeah, that one right in. Go ahead and tighten them up, zing it down there. All right, we got that going. Let's go ahead and put all our filter housing, all that stuff back on there right now. Get that going. So I'm gonna change this bulb out on the old one that we have, the one that came off that motor, and save that other one if I need it for something else. All you gotta do is get in here with a little screwdriver and push down and push up a little bit and do it on the other side. That's really all you gotta do. And that'll come out nicely for you. Here's that old one. I mean, it still worked, but you know, it had some years on it. Take this fresh one. We'll just stick that fresh one right in there. There's some little cutouts right here. So that's where you want these to go. The little things, so you got to cut out on each side. So it's just gonna go just like that. And push that in. And I'll take my little screwdriver and I'll just push the edge of this in. The little white thing, I'll just push it in there till it snaps. All right, so I got that in. See where those white tabs are? All right, so it looks like it's gonna work. Remember, you got that tube that's gonna go, it's gotta hook into the tube down here on the bottom of the, yeah, you'll see it. Now I just gotta find that blue bin I put all my fasteners in that has the 2 fasteners that, or 3 fasteners that secure that. I put them in that bin, so if I lose anything, I lose everything. Lucky me. And if you happen to recognize this Tupperware, I apologize. I don't know where it came from. Could have been someone brought something over or something, family function or something, and that's what happens to it when you leave it here. I'm just gonna turn it up on its side so I can get to it a little easier. 2 of these screws are going into the carburetor, and this one over here is going to a little bracket on the side. Got those all hand started. Gonna put a little bit on it. Gonna use that filter that came out of that kit. Put that right there. I need to go get the top cover for that. All right, we got the cover back. And the way that cover fits in there, it just goes, you got these 3 little prongs here. They go into 3 little cutouts right there. Cover's installed. We are not going to put this back on this handle because it's going to end up going on the other mower once we do the engine swap. But I do want to run it one more time. Nope, I'm gonna run it once I get it on there because I know it runs, and anything I got to do to fix it's going to be on that mower anyway. So let's start the process of getting these engines off. This right here is the best little tool for getting these off. I mean, just simple. Look at that. It's crazy. I'll show you one more time on the other mower. Watch that again. You just slide this on here. It's gonna hit those 2 prongs, and then you just give it a pull, just like that. Comes right out. I'll show you again. So that's in. Give it a pull, comes right out. That's all there is to it. Very, very genius little tool. We're gonna take this blade off, and then there's gonna be 3 bolts that hold this. Take my spark plug wire off. There's gonna be 3 bolts that hold this on. One here, and one here. And that's pretty much universal for every single mower. Oh, gotta put a battery in it. I knew that sucker seemed a little light. All right, blade's off. It's called your blade adapter here. We're probably gonna have to get that off too. Because this one here, the other mower is gonna have one that has a pulley on it. It's not gonna come off real easy. So y'all get to learn another trick that I use for getting these off when they're seized on there. All right, so we got a blade to take off this one and the motor to take off this one. It's got your 3 fasteners here, and this one is the one that has the pulley on it, so that drives your wheels. So we need to make sure we take this blade off, and this blade adapter needs to go on the other motor when it goes into this lawnmower. So let's go ahead and get that blade off so we can pull this bad motor. And then we'll jump back to the other one that was being stubborn, getting that blade adapter off. unplug the spark plug. Wow, that was like super loose. This thing had a crazy oil leak, so this is not going to be a problem at all. Look at that. I can see the blade adapter coming right off. You won't normally get this lucky, guys, just so you know. And that's all there is to it. That's your blade adapter. Y'all see that? There it is. It's got the pulley. That belt goes around the pulley. The pulley is what drives the wheels. Man, I haven't been this dirty working on a mower in a little bit either. Let me get a rag. We have 3 bolts to take off here. They are 1/2-inch bolts, if you're wondering. This right here is what kind of keeps your belt from coming off while you're on there. Clean that up a little bit too. Once I take this last bolt out, that motor will be free to fall. All right, there's nothing holding that motor in right now. So we took those 3 bolts out. Now we can just pick this motor straight up. And that's all there is to it. Go throw this out in the truck. Go ahead and get this mower out of our way for a minute. And we're gonna clean this deck up where it's nice and fresh before we put everything back on. So we have a few clues of what happened now with this mower. When I took the blade off, I noticed that this is the one that we're putting the new motor on, right? That the motor was no good. You got a huge chunk taken out right there. See that big old chunk? It's like, man, that ain't no good. And then I was cleaning up this blade adapter. I don't know if you can see that. That's supposed to be a star pattern. And it's also broken right there. It's sheared off. And that's what this blade, that's what keeps that blade in there good. So we're going to try to find another blade adapter as well. Man, this may not be as cheap as I thought it was going to be. So I got my bearing puller in there, and usually I use the nut, or the nut that came out of the crankshaft, but mine isn't long enough, so I got a drill bit and I stuck in the hole. We'll see how that's going to pan out for me. Do I not have the right socket on there? I do not. Look at that, just like that. That blade adapter came right off. This is the kit I use. If there's a Harbor Freight by you, it's a Pittsburgh bearing separator and puller set, item 62593. So that's what I use, works pretty good. I'll see if I can find one on Amazon that's similar and put a link to it in the description. Now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take these 3 bolts off here. Hopefully we'll get as lucky as we did on the last batch. They're 1/2 inch as well. So there we go. And we care about this motor a little bit, so we don't want it just to fall down after we get it down. It's a bit overkill for what we're doing. Maybe it's overkill. Oh, that's not good, brother. That's why you shouldn't use an impact wrench. I just broke it off in there. Son of a gun. Heat and penetrating oil, that's your friend. Not impatience in an impact gun. We got the last bolt coming out now. All right, so there's no bolts, no fasteners, nothing holding that together any longer. So we're gonna drop this thing down and take this motor off as well. All right, thanks to my carelessness, that bolt broke off there. So I'll be in here piddling with that. I'll be hitting it with penetrating oil, and I do have access to the back side of that right here. So I might get lucky and be able to work it with some vice grips, but I'll be piddling with that for a while. All right, I guess we'll do a tool review too while we're at it. I got this extractor set to get myself out of the pickle I got myself in by breaking the head off that bolt while I was removing it. So I got me an extractor set, and I'm gonna see if I can get myself out of this pickle that I put myself in. So this is these are left-handed threads, And in the past, I actually, you know what? I have a set of these. I have a Snap-on set somewhere. Anyway, these are some Amazon ones I picked up just in case I didn't have any, I suppose. But they got the left-hand threads on the drill bit, so you're going to drill in reverse. And I've actually had it at one point where the screw came out when I was drilling. But we're going to see. We're going to go slowly with, you know, and systematically go up in bits to try to get that out, and then use the extractors that we need to do that. I also got me a center punch because I couldn't find mine either. And that's nice to put a mark right in the center of your piece you're going to drill into. I'll try to leave a link if I remember, and if they actually work. What I like about these center punches is you just put them in there, you get them centered up on your bolt, and you give it a push, just like that, and it gets it nice, gets it already squared away for you. And the good thing is, if I have to, I'll drill. If I can't get this thing extracted out, I can drill all the way through here. It's a through hole, and I'll put a nut on the back side. All right, so these are left-handed drill bits, so we're gonna put it in reverse to do the drilling. And I'm gonna be generous with the PB blaster. Get you a better angle so you're not just looking at the back of me. All right, I'm gonna stop it there, but you'll get the idea. So this is where I left you. I ended up having to drill a through hole there, so I had to put a bolt in. That was just on me not being careful and not having any patience and ripping that thing out with my impact, and broke the head off. It probably would have broke off anyway, to be honest with you, because I couldn't even get it out with the extractor. It was just not coming out. So it was probably going to be like that no matter what. Then I also was able to get a replacement for this. See how that's all broken off? I was able to get a replacement from a local guy that also piddles with lawnmowers a lot. So this has that star back on there. That's what had sheared off on that other motor. So I think that's what caused, not this motor, but the one that we're replacing to have its issues. I got a blade on order, and if it doesn't come in time, I've got another lawnmower. I got a Husqvarna, my personal one that I use. I'll steal the blade off of that so I can get it ready this weekend. I'm gonna go clean this deck up before I put the motor on it real quick, and then we'll come back in here and mount the motor. We're gonna go ahead and drop this motor back in. Make sure your pulley goes through there, through your belt. Just kind of set it on for right now. We're going to have to tilt this thing up so we have access to the fasteners from the bottom. And then I'm gonna have to use a through bolt on. I got them all started by hand. That's one of the original bolts. It's one of the original bolts, and this is the through bolt that I had to put in. So I'm just gonna tighten them up now. The 1/2 inch. And on this one here, I got to hold it back up to it. So I got a 1/2 inch right here. And I got a lock nut on the back, a nylock nut. So I don't have to worry about that one coming loose, hopefully, in the future. And that's the one that holds the guard on for that belt. There we go, we're all nice and tight again. Belt's on. Just need to get a blade to come in, and we'll be good to go for the underside. I'm just gonna hit some of this here with some Rebuild Black. Just kind of freshen it up a little bit. Bought tons of this stuff from Vice Grip Garage, hoping to win a truck and a Corvette combination. I did not win. Anyhow, we'll go ahead and just touch up the rest of the handles. And then maybe tomorrow I'll take the blade off my Husqvarna, or check and see if that other one's gonna come in so I can get this ready. I know that lady wanted this mower for this weekend. All right, guys, so the new blade came in for this mower, the one we were waiting on. In one of my last videos, someone kind of gave me a little, I don't know, little phrase, I guess, to remember. Just these things these right here, the sails always go up. So they're gonna go up in the deck. So even if your blade's got a little cup in it where it looks like it might go that way, just remember these sails, the sails always go upwards on the deck. So we're gonna go ahead and get this installed. I've got my spark plug unplugged up there. And also another thing, this star pattern, they got 5 lug stars, and like 6 lug stars. You just gotta make sure you get the one that's the right pattern and the right length for your mower. Get that started by hand. Make sure you torque that down to spec. We're gonna turn our fuel on. Check our fuel level in this tank, should be empty. We're empty in the tank. We're gonna add some fuel. We're gonna check the oil. I am gonna do an oil change, but before I do that, I just wanna make sure this thing has brand new oil in it. Huh. Maybe I did the oil change on this before, when I serviced this motor for the other one. I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, we're gonna run it real quick, do a quick test mow. One thing we still need to do, we need to tighten all these up. They were loose. Get those all tight. And we'll pull our handle here and put it back through this little catch so we don't have to bend over every time, and we'll tighten that up. We'll go give this thing 3 pumps. Oh, now I gotta put gas in it first. Put some gas in it, give it a couple of pumps and see how she fires up. We've already changed the spark plug on it. It's got a fresh plug, which reminds me, make sure I plugged it back in, which I didn't. You plug that back in. I always unplug it after I do it when I change the blade out so I don't accidentally get myself or start that mower and cut my fingers off. Get a little fuel in there. That should be enough. We don't want to put a little bit more. Let's see how she fires up. I gotta tell you, this thing's kind of hard to pull. Well, maybe if I held the right handle. Oh, I'm a moron. This thing will never start if you don't reinstall this right here. You can pull all day long, but it'll never start until you install this. Kind of feel like this should go this way. Just stick that in there like so. Pull that through there and stick that in. And now our life might get a little easier. Give it a couple pumps. I don't know if I like how that feels. That's not doing nothing. Oh yeah, it is. There you go. Not bad. Let's check the oil now that it's run a second. That oil is like brand new. Let's go cut some grass and see how she does. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode. I probably fixed it. I'm glad you guys stayed in and watched this engine swap. We salvaged this motor. It has a nice self-propel. I just finished cutting my lawn with it. Did excellent. Put a new blade on it, changed the oil, new spark plug. You know, you saw all what I did. And then I got a lady that's interested in this mower. So I'm gonna give her first right of refusal on it. I'll probably let it go for about 150 bucks or so, or you know, ballpark. Hey, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Probably Fixed It.